Imagine you've just returned home from a dive trip and are unpacking your underwater camera gear to put it away until your next trip. How do you properly clean and store it so it doesn't get damaged over time until it gets pulled out again for your next adventure? That's exactly what we'll cover in today's quick tip video. Coming up. If you're an underwater image maker like myself, you know how important it is to take good care of your underwater camera gear, especially at the end of a dive trip. The simple, quick rinse in the freshwater tub at the dive center before leaving usually isn't good enough. Just think of all the other divers that have rinsed their underwater cameras in that same water before you gave your precious underwater camera setup a good rinse, and you'll realize that that water will probably already be quite dirty or salty, resulting in less than ideal cleaning results. Nevertheless, you should still rinse your gear on location, but then when you get back home, I highly recommend you go through the following steps. Disassemble your camera housing and all accessories as much as possible, but keep the housing, lights, etc. closed. Fill up your bathtub or any other large tub with lukewarm fresh water and put all the parts into the water. Leave everything soaking in the tub for about 10 to 15 minutes. Make sure to press all buttons and turn all dials on your housing and video lights several times. This way, the fresh water can enter possibly obstructed spaces and flush out any residual salt crystals. Take all the components out of the water. Lay them on a towel and leave them to completely dry out in a cool, dry place outside of direct sunlight. Once everything has dried out, open the housing, detach any ports and open the battery compartments of your video lights. Remove all O-rings. Use a specific O-ring remover or another soft tool that won't damage the O-ring. Never use any sharp or metallic objects to remove an O-ring. The risk of damaging it is just simply too big. Clean each O-ring carefully using either a damp and clean microfiber cloth, or alternatively, you can simply lick your O-rings clean. I know, sounds gross, but it works very well and shows some true love toward your underwater camera gear. Make sure there is no sand, hair or anything else left on the O-ring. Do the same with the space where each of the O-rings sits, making sure it's clean and free of any obstructions. If you won't be using your underwater camera gear for an extended period of time, let's say 6 months or more, I recommend not to put the O-rings back in place, but store them in a sealed plastic bag alongside your camera gear. Otherwise, reapply a small amount of silicone grease onto the O-rings before placing them back in their appropriate places. Make sure to always use the silicone grease that came with the respective O-ring. Some O-rings do not require any silicone grease. Please refer to the user manual of your housing or the video lights, and if you're dealing with a silicone-free O-ring, do not grease it as it will damage the O-ring's integrity. I recommend using a small amount of silicone grease on all screws and springs that are exposed to water too. This will act as a protection shield against salt water and minimize potential corrosion during future use. Last but not least, reassemble your underwater camera gear and store it in a cool and dry place, outside of direct sunlight. Make sure to not reinsert batteries into the housing or the video lights to prevent possible battery leakage during storage. Don't close the housing shut. Leave it slightly open so the O-ring is not under constant pressure for longer periods of time and you get some air circulating through the housing. And there you have it. Properly cleaning and storing your underwater camera gear in between your underwater adventures is as easy as this. If you're looking for some tips on how to improve your underwater video skills for your next trip, check out the links in the video description below or watch one of these videos next. Keep capturing your underwater adventures and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.